What's up, broods and brudettes? It's the PicoDudes. And this time, we're getting used to being on camera because we're crazy. And I'm Jeremy Hidalgo, and this is Sam Rathert, the man who loves to eat popcorn, and now we're showing you.
Yeah, breaking every podcast rule in one podcast.
So what are we going to do in this podcast? Podcasting rule number 1. Tell people what we're going to do. This one's going to be Mowin Time version 2.0. We're going to talk about Pilsners really quick. Then we're going to try, again, Annie Johnson's Mowin Time from the PicoBrew Brew Marketplace. And this time it was brewed 100% and completely as the recipe was provided in the box when you got it. Correct?
I feel like I'm the pen or the teller. I don't know which one's which.
Well, you're talking, so you can't be...
I know I've completely ruined it already. And I understand your diabolical plan. This is a whole diabolical plan to give me all this popcorn and not let me have anything to drink so that I will eat all the popcorn before the podcast starts.
We had some technical challenges. Again, video, whole nother level. So anyways, if you're so thirsty, why don't you get us something poured and I'll talk about what a Pilsner is.
Sure. Let me just unzip myself so I'm all ready to go.
Cool. Well, I will keep this fairly brief, but a Pilsner is a type of pale lager. It takes its name from a Bohemian city called Pilsen, and there it was first brewed in 1842. Some of the popular brands are Pilsner Urquell, which is the original, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact about Pilsners is Germans started creating yeast that they could ferment in colder climates.
Fun fact about Pilsners. Who wants to do fun facts about
Because that's like all we're doing in this thing.
Hey,
is like
fun fact about Pilsen.
Pilsen?
Where is it?
Is it in Germany? Where is it?
It's in Bohemia.
Where the hell is Bohemia?
Bohemia. So Bohemia makes up the western half, which is a little bit more than half of the Czech Republic now.
Okay.
Which is actually Bavaria directly to the west and Germany to the north. So it is right there in the cradle of awesome beer. Also contains Prague, a wonderful city for many reasons.
Okay.
And they have helped us. They have helped the entire world have a wonderful beer to enjoy.
What else comes from Bohemia?
Well, they are famous for both their forest and their rhapsody. So there's two big things that people in Bohemia is famous for.
Nice. Well, I didn't finish my fun fact.
Oh, I'm sorry. You had a fun fact.
I don't know if anybody actually cares, but the Germans did, or the Bohemians.
Oh, the Germans took over Bohemia.
Yeah. So the Bohemians totally they would ferment their beer in caves, and then refrigeration technology came about, and they were able to lager things at a little bit more consistent temperatures. And
did they lager?
Yeah, this is a pale lager.
Is it? Now, I thought that Pilsners, were usually top fermented.
It is top fermented. Still a pale
still
lager.
lagered.
Yeah, because lagering is just, longer fermentation over in cooler periods. So, so what are these two bottles that you just put here in front of us?
Well, here's
two
the trick.
Thirsty fellas.
One of these bottles is Mowin Time.
Am I supposed to guess which one?
Yeah, so one of these bottles is Mowin Time, and one of these bottles is for our next audio-only episode, though if you like the video pieces, we'd be happy to bring more of them to you. So one of them is Mowin Time. One of them is a double IPA.
Okay.
And so the Mowin Time has an SRM of 4.
Got it.
The double IPA has an SRM of 11. And I'm just curious if your super amazing eyes are able to tell a difference between these two bottles. I'm guessing video can't. One hint, if you put something kind of white behind it, it's a bit...
That's in front of it on the video, but
I know.
But you're helping me out.
I'm helping you out.
I think this is the Mowin Time?
Nope.
Oh, I got it wrong. I could cheat now and see the actual things. So the reason I thought this one's actually lighter. It looks like to me that this one's lighter.
I think this one's lighter. And part of the problem is I don't cold crash before I rack into the bottles.
Uh-huh.
So these have been chilled for a couple days. But if I would have cold crashed before racking, I think you would see a bigger color variance.
Yeah.
But I've given up on the whole cold crash before racking because I found it doesn't seem to affect the flavor.
Right.
It's a lot of extra effort for me. And Andy Lusk says it's stupid. So,
So it must be so. Well, you can tell there's a huge difference in clarity on these two. And
Yep.
so I think initially, and maybe the camera's picking this up too, but if you look at this one's a more clear beer. And I think because of the clarity, it possibly looks darker, if that makes sense. Since this one's got a little bit more haze to it, it might be refracting more light.
that makes zero sense to me. But I'm game with your assumption. I'm going to shove this one back in its little home.
Put it in its home.
Go in your home.
All right. So why don't I pour this, or do you want to do the honors of opening the bottle?
Pour away.
And then I want to
here, I'll
hear
open it.
how you brewed this, because this is our first video.
Ah.
Anybody who might not be familiar, we're the PicoDudes. We
Yep.
we review, yeah, we review beers that we brew on our Pico Brews.
Yes.
We will do a video review of our Pico Brews and even compare the Pico Brew Model S to the Pico Brew Model C.
Go see.
And yeah, maybe we could set it up like a competition somehow. Anyways, so then we drink the beers and we review them so that you guys can know a little bit about what to expect. And we also give you tips and tricks and let you know exactly how we fermented and all of the steps involved. So on that note, crack the sucker open.
We really should have napkins available just in case, but perfect.
Sweet. There is a roll of paper towels right over there.
I don't think we're going to need it. Would you like to take that tiny little thing you call a glass over here? And
Yes.
I'll give you a little hit of
I'm
this,
week 2 on this ketogenic diet, so I'm
Mhm.
factoring all of this into my carb. Dude, look at that. That is a very nice, very clear beer. Good job, dude.
I'm going to have a little bit more than you had.
Yeah. Oh, that smells really good too.
Does it really?
It does.
I'm worried because I'm always worried about a skunk.
You got one that just roams around and
I do.
sprays on your beer?
I've got one that roams around and sprays on my brews. Every once in a while I get that skunk, but
I think that comes from when your hops are exposed to sunlight.
really?
Yeah. Feel like it's isomerization or something like that they call that.
I
Anyways.
do notice that. So I've got a couple other beers that I tried, and I'm like, ooh, these aren't skunked, but they are on the edge of being weed beers. And a weed beer comes from our lost episodes where we tried multiple times to review a beer that I made that had gotten skunked, and somehow we got skunked both times we tried to review it. Episodes were unairable.
Oh, they were hilarious, by the way. They were absolutely hilarious. They will never see the
They
light
would prevent
of day.
us from ever running for office, from ever holding a public. But I did remember later, because I started getting some of the same thing from these other two beers I tried. I had gone to dry hop them and then forgot and left them for a couple weeks.
Uh-huh.
And I was like, man, what is the best by date when dry hopping? Because I know what you've said. I keep seeing things online that say 3 to 4 days before you end fermentation is when you should add it. I know you've talked about, you've seen stuff says 3 days after you start fermentation. I'm worried though, because when I've pulled some of those hops out, it has just turned to mush in that bag. And at what point does the plant fiber start breaking down and making just yuck?
Well, and technically, some people will do a secondary fermentation where they'll completely rack it out of the original fermentation vessel into another one. Then they'll add their dry hops to that, and they'll go like another week or 2 weeks.
Okay.
So
that's fine.
Yeah,
They're
so-
not going to break down in that time.
yeah, correct.
I just suck at this.
I think you just had dirty
it.
bottles.
Dirty bottles. Grrr.
All right, so off the bat.
Off the bat, what are we seeing?
Um,
What are we smelling?
So keep in mind, this is going to be Mowin Time 2.0 for us.
Yes.
We had tried this one other time. Andy Lusk brewed it and brought it in, and he used. Do you remember what he used? A different yeast on it,
I
right?
have no idea what he used. He basically goes with Y yeast 1450, I think, for just about everything that normally comes with Cephali, which is the 04s and 05s are usually the dry ale yeasts that
Right.
come with a lot of these PicoPaks. And so he goes with what's called Denny's favorite.
Mhm.
That's from Denny Kahn, famous homebrewer. And so I used, and I wish I had written it down, and I apologize, I did not, but I used a whatever just came in the box.
Okay.
So I don't know what it is. I did my traditional brew, and my traditional brew means I use distilled water. I left all the settings as is. I usually ferment for 2 weeks. I know we can ferment faster, but I've just gotten in the habit of fermenting for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Then I rack it to bottles and I bottle condition, which means I just take the sugar packet provided, pour it equally into all 5 bottles, rack my beer into it, close them up, put them in a nice dark place, and let them sit for 2 more weeks. So it's a 4-week process from when I start my brew to when I'm ready to drink.
Yeah. Right on. Well, I think this one tastes just a little bit different than Andy's, and the only difference that I'm really detecting is there's, for lack of a better term, there's a more like traditional beer taste that you would associate. His had a little bit more smoother, creamy feel. I think they're equally as good. This one comes across a little bit more weedy to me.
I was about to say weedy or maltier, and it does. I believe this thing has some wheat malts in it, if I remember right. I can't remember what malt specifically comes in it, but I believe it has some wheat malts, some German hops and malts. So
Okay.
this is and it comes from Annie Johnson.
Annie Johnson.
And she is the top brewer at
Head
PicoBrew.
brewer at PicoBrew.
Head brewer.
I think this one's under the label of Annie Brews on the Brew Marketplace. If you're on the PicoBrew website, I like this beer equally as much, and maybe it's this low carb diet or whatever, but this tastes really good to me. I think I want to go buy one of these packs and brew it up and have it on hand for like family gatherings. It's just nice and light. It's one of those ones. I know you're not a huge Pilsners fan, but I think this is one you can introduce to just about anybody in the family, and they'll be able to drink it. Again, it's a lot like a Stella. I
was going to say, we compared it to Stella when we tried Andy's. I don't get as much Stella
it's
on
slightly
this one.
more mild. It doesn't have that skunky that you get with like a Stella or a Heineken. So
I feel like this compared to the one with Andy's was very clean.
Mhm.
This wheaty, malty, I get more of that, which when the beer is cold, I really like. But I've had this, of course, now I'm trying all my bottles before we come do the podcast because I'm really worried about bringing a skunk in. I don't want to bring a skunk in. So I try them all. So I tried this, and I'd actually left it out on the counter for a while because I forgot I'd taken it out. And then when I poured it, it was already kind of warm. And by the time I finished the glass, it was really warm. It did not taste good. This is something that tastes great cold, but as it warms up, it does have that thicker, weedier, maltier. For me, it was like, more cloying on the tongue. It's great and crisp.
Yeah, I was going to
cold.
say it's nice and crisp right now. It's not overly bright. It's just an easy drinking beer. I think Mowing Time is the perfect title for it. You mow your lawn, have some of this, and be perfectly happy.
Do you get cut grass? I get a little cut grass.
Yeah, I do. Just
I get a hint of that fresh mown grass, and it might be because you said mowing time right as I swallowed, but it's mowing time.
I do. No, I get the cut grass. It's more of an aftertaste on there. Sort of that after.
I'm gonna show up at a meeting and just go, "It's mowing time," and you're not gonna know exactly what I'm doing.
Please make it in front of customers. Yeah. Enjoy your popcorn. Ratings, as far as ratings go, I think I'm at the same place. I believe I gave Mowin Time a 4.
Did you really?
Um,
I'm still in that 3.5 on it. I think ABV's a 5, which is great. IBU's a 35, right there in the right mix for what I normally would like.
We had another beer that we did a review on called Tally the Timid that I said was a great video game playing beer. I feel like this one's right in there. It's like it's a good session beer. It's a little heavy for a session, but it's just a nice, easy drinking beer. You want to lead your friends down the path of like enjoying beer if they don't like beer or haven't tried it, or if you guys are just turning 21. This is a good beer
Because you don't drink it all till you're 21.
Hey, we're trying to keep it legal. So, anyways, I'm at a 4. You're at a 3.5.
Yeah, I think I'm at a 3.5.
It's not creeping up on you.
This one's not, because if you ask me to compare it to the Tally the Timid, that one did creep up on me, but that was one that kind of grew on me. The weird thing about this one, I'll notice that as I get further and closer to the bottom of the glass, it creeps away from me. I really love it fresh. It's delicious fresh. I don't like it as it warms up.
Sure.
And that kind of concerns me, because normally as it warms up, you get more and more of the actual flavor out of a beer.
So is it safe to say that if we put this in a beer bong, you would give it a 5? Because then there's no chance for it to unfreshen. No.
How am I absorbing that?
Oh, I was assuming your mouth. I don't know.
I don't know if that's a safe assumption these days.
I don't want to know your butt chug star rating.
So, spice characters, herbal aromas, hints of black pepper. You get any of that?
No.
God dang it.
Maybe the black pepper after the rest of the flavors have mellowed down, and it's just kind of an afterthought or an after flavor on, like, as you breathe it back in your mouth. But there's not a lot of spiciness to me.
Me neither.
I think one of the challenges is with the yeast that you're using. It is a little overpowering.
I think it's overpowering.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we are going to be trying some other yeasts as we move forward. And actually, I've got a cool experiment I did with a beer. I finished up a beer. What was that?
It's my predator noise.
You're really good at that. So I finished up an IPA beer. I think it was the Stingray IPA, which we're going to do in another week or two here. Yep. And we both have made it, so we're going to try it. The one we made with the 1450, the White Yeast 1450, Denny's favorite.
Right.
Because we wanted to compare it to the Safali that comes in the pack.
Right.
So you got yours, I got mine. We're going to compare them so we can give you an idea of, do these really taste different, or is this just a bunch of cool sounding hooey? After I racked my my Stingray, I had all that crap left at the bottom.
Yep. The trub.
The trub.
Or the yeast cake.
Yes. And I had just finished brewing. I timed this intentionally. Just finished brewing a new IPA, not a Stingray. So I just finished brewing a new IPA, and I think it's actually the Brew Free or Die.
Oh, good. Yeah, so that'll be a good one.
We've already done that one.
Yeah.
I believe early on, like episode 3 or something. But
we can do a 2.0, throw a video on it.
But the intention is to do a 2.0. And what I did is, after I brewed it, instead of pitching the yeast it came with, I simply took a little extra distilled water, poured it over that yeast cake, swirled it up, and poured it on top of my brew.
You yeast harvester.
I poured it right on the wort. So I want to see if I can reharvest that yeast and make this one pack last several beers. And I'm curious what it does to the flavors. So I did that, and first I was all scared this isn't going to work. And I came down the next day, and bloop, the thing is bubbling away. Yeah. It is working.
That's awesome.
So I can't wait to see how that works.
I can't either. And if you can't wait to see it, comment below, and we'll do a video. And I got to be honest. I think
click here.
Yeah.
Click here. We're not going to add anything in, are we?
No. Well, I could. I don't know what the clicks would go to at this point. Like, we don't have any other videos, but what we could do is, if you comment and you like this,
see what else Prog makes.
We can actually try like an accompanying video or YouTube channel that we put some effort into. Like, this is kind of how we started the podcast, right? We huddled around a little tiny mic, USB mic, and gave it a go, and people didn't think we were totally out of our minds, so we bought some cheap equipment, and so we do the same thing with the YouTube channel. I've seen enough crap on YouTube that, like, we've got some time to up our quality.
I know this will be better than at least 3% of the stuff on YouTube.
Yeah, that's setting the bar really low, but thanks.
That's where I like to start.
We can always just throw a dancing cat in there if stuff goes too south.
Million views.
Anyways, I think we've covered just about everything. This is Mowing Time 2.0. You've been with the PicoDudes. We appreciate it.
Joining us for our very first video.
Yeah.
And now you can see how absolutely stupid we are.
On that note, PicoDudes out.